Hey, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday night, Fandom Empire Live, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4 of us here today. Thank God one of them is not Terrence. Hashtag fuck Terrence. That's in the chat right now. So we know Kieran can't stand his fucking ass. We know Johnny can't stand his fucking ass. I think the only guy here that likes Terrence is Tommy. So we'll start with Tommy. What's going on, Tommy? And why do you like Terrence? Why is that a thing, dude?
Terrence just has such a likable personality. I mean, one of the most positive people you'll ever meet. I mean, come on. You got to respect Terrence's opinions. They are just.
Did you hear what he said about Dune?
They're not respectful.
He thinks Dune is directed by Jacques Villeneuve, popular Formula One driver. You need to respect his... Okay, Kathleen Kennedy.
Respect his authority. Yeah.
Holy fuck! I already want to leave. We're we're like a minute into being on screen, and I'm just done with Tommy already. I can't believe I'm saying this. Let's move on to someone better. How's it going, Johnny? I know it's come to this. It's come to this. I just praised you to begin a show.
My head hurts, man. Like this is already a weird day for me. Like I can't, if you've ever watched Bros Before Post, I'm a big MLB show guy, and they decided to put out the next big one collection today. It's fucking Mookie Betts. Like Mookie fucking Betts is, oh god.
Careful now. Intel's a big Dodgers fan.
He can be a big Dodgers fan. I got no beef with Mookie Betts, but he's not a big one. Like he's not even a top 5 player in the league.
Oh, I don't know about that. He's pretty up there now.
I mean, up there, sure, but I don't think top 5. Not when you've got your Mike Trouts, your Jacob deGroms. I might even put Ohtani above him right now with the way he's playing.
Ohtani is number 1.
I don't know if I'd go that.
Are you
only because it's one. If he continues to do this next year and the year after,
right now,
this exact one, then yes, then I'd put Vlad Jr. ahead of him. I'd still put Trout ahead of him. I'd still put DeGrom. Obviously, the dude's got a sub-2 ERA. It's August. Like, come on now. There's nothing wrong with Mookie. I got no beef with Mookie. It's just I got a beef with him being the big collection. Like this is the big one.
The last Fandom Empire Live we had, there was legitimately a super chat war to either keep Terrence on screen or get him off screen. And after your Mookie Betts hate, I wonder if we can turn that into, can we get a super chat war to get Johnny the fuck out of here? So, just throwing that out there.
Yay, sports.
By the way,
Sports.
if you want to support the channel, the number one way you can do that is by clicking the like button. Looks like this. It's a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe if you're new to the channel and tuning into this episode. We go for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And if you want to comment in the chat, you'll need to subscribe to the channel now, and you have to stay subscribed for more than 5 minutes. So, yes, I know, unfortunate, but I'm letting you know that now, and I'll probably send another reminder halfway through the show. You can also send in a super chat, which goes a long way to support the channel and what we do here. And you can take a look at us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Fandom Empire. Where's our boy Mean Dean? I don't see him in the chat. He's missed the last couple shows. Is he turning on us? Has Terrence scared Dean away?
Dean has already mentioned he's hashtag Team Terrence.
Oh, is he? And he's in the chat?
I don't know if he's in the chat at all.
Oh, well, then you have no proof of that because we're working off of this chat.
Oh, well, he could have turned by now. I would imagine people are going to get pretty tired of that piece of shit. As he likes to say.
Empire Super Chat Civil War. 200 pennies for Terrence. $2 Super Chat. Well, somehow this has turned back to Team Terrence when it was about Johnny.
How many pennies would you have to swim in pennies?
You'd probably die.
How many would you have to fill a bathtub, you think?
A million?
Why would you want to?
Just imagine. I mean, yeah, there are better coinage to
better?
Yeah, like silver, not silver, like quarters, like you know. Hell, why not silver dollars? That'd be pretty cool. That's what we got down here.
I
don't know.
I'm not high enough for the show right now, guys. Wow.
Maybe you need to fix that.
I'm working on it. Also joining us for this show, Kieran, how's it going, man? We know you were losing your voice there at the end of the Rick and Morty fan show. You can make it through this?
Yeah.
One? Do we need to send you up, parents?
I think I'll be. No, oh my god. No, we don't need Terrence in here.
We could sub Johnny out and have myself and Tommy and Kieran and Terrence all on here at the same time.
I'm not ready to appear on the same show as Terrence. Oh my god. He's too much. He's too much of an entitled. He's too much of an entitled, spoiled fanboy.
So what you're saying is Terrence is a bitch.
Yeah, I don't even know what, like, how did he even get here? Like, I feel like he's He must have something on Sean. Like he must have.
Not my buddy. He's Tommy's buddy.
Does he does he have naked pictures of one of you guys or something that he's just like blackmailing you guys to get on the channel? Like,
Dodgers
I don't know.
playing the Astros tonight. Watch Mookie go like 4 for 6 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs just to spite Johnny.
That would be great. I know Matt Whitfield just hates Terrence because Terrence really ripped him up last show, though. So, anyways, I'm tired. I'm tired. I did
if anyone noticed that.
I did 2 overnight shifts at my other job, and they're like, I can't have my sleep thrown off like that. I'm just not. My body's not built for it. I was never good for it, and now that I'm so old, it's definitely not working out that way. Since I'm the old man on the channel.
Because you're so old, Kieran. Yeah.
I'm the old man on the channel.
You're so old.
You see all these grays?
Overnights are not easy for anyone.
This is not the light shining on my brown hair. This is gray hair right here.
That whole bit right there.
This little loop here.
Oh, you don't say.
That's actual gray hair.
Well, it looks
getting old.
It's stylish.
I get one more gray every time I see fucking Terrence on this show. So.
Yeah.
So yes, I am a little bit tired.
Overnights.
So here's what we have on the show for each and every one of you this evening. We are going to be talking about the top 10 Harrison Ford movies with the stipulation that we were only allowed to pick 1 Star Wars movie and 1 Indiana Jones movie, making the list significantly harder. We're also going to be talking wrestling at the end of the show. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be talking. There's actually, we might have Star Wars. I'm waiting for word on something. We might have a Star Wars juicy rumor going on pertaining to Knights of the Old Republic. So we'll see if that comes through while we're on air. We're going to talk about Friday the 13th. Tommy, I talked about some of these issues with you last night. And we're going to talk about some of them on air today. And we're going to talk about the Halloween 4K ultra high definition set, some clarification on what's actually included in the set, and then maybe a bit of a preview of the announcement later this week, we believe it'll be. But why don't we start off? I actually don't know what to start off with. Let me look at the notes again, make sure I didn't forget anything. I got my
we were supposed to only include 1 Star Wars and 1 Indiana Jones.
He fucked up. Kieran fucked up.
Yeah. Otherwise, this should be pretty easy.
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah.
And that's why I did that. I don't have a list that doesn't include that, or that includes only 1 of each.
Kieran is disqualified right out of the gate.
I can do a top 5.
Do you think Terrence can follow simple instructions?
It's okay, Kieran. It was difficult for me too. I had to pick some I probably only seen once, like years ago.
Knowing Terrence, he probably only likes. Well, what didn't he already say? He only likes 5 movies.
Terrence only likes Joe Pesci, right?
Apparently, I don't know.
What's wrong with that? My Cousin Vinny is an excellent film.
Joe Pesci is amazing. I love Joe Pesci. But
Joe Pesci is amazing.
Pesci last week, that was. Whew, that was it. Why don't we start with this? So on
top 10 Joe Pesci movies.
On Saturday night, I watched Coherence on here on the channel with Jesse, who may or may not be tuning in at the moment. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that it was some sort of psychological thriller. And it was like, okay, well, it's an Indiegogo fulfillment. Let's do this. Let's knock it out. So I was high. I get high while we're on air. A fair amount.
You don't say.
But I'm almost never high when we start a stream because you need to be coherent to watch Coherence. And anyways, it's pretty baked. And let me tell you, smoking or vaping or whatever your poison is, and watching the movie Coherence do not go together. I literally had the trippiest, most psychedelic, alternate dimension, messed up doppelganger dream in my life, and it repeated itself like 5 times, and it was the same dream every time right up until the end. There was a different detail, and like the dream could only be described as some sort of cross between 80s porn and and the movie Coherence and the movie Seven. That's right. Those three those are the subgenre anyways, and the 2 movies combined in together. And you know, it was one of those dreams too where you knew you were dreaming but you couldn't wake up, and it was quite a disturbing experience. Wasn't very fun. And you know, I would love to see, you know, I'd love to see Terrence in that sort of condition to see what he would be like. Anybody have, like, you guys, I'm assuming, have all had the dreams where you just, you know, you're in a dream but can't wake up?
My favorite trippy dreams are the dreams where you dream that you're falling.
Right, and that happened in this too. Every
Those
time.
are fucked up. Like what do they say? If you've hit the ground, you fucking die or something. Obviously, an urban legend.
I would hope so.
This just in, breaking from Fandom Empire, dream news.
Yeah, if you hit the ground in your dream, you die. Like that would make those dreams much more scary and probably much more prevalent.
You know, I don't know if you ever heard of this. It's a documentary film. It's called Nightmare on Elm Street. Maybe you should watch it sometime.
Oh man, it's like I would strongly suggest, if you can see the movie for free, which you can if you have Amazon Prime, that it's worth watching for sure. But like, I know people that weren't that way that got messed up in the head after our watch along, and were not very sure of themselves. So it was an experience. Sorry guys, I'm trying to sort an issue out here. Oops. All right, why don't we dive into this? Let's dive into it with Friday the 13th. So last night, Zachary and I are watching the Friday the 13th remake, which I've been on this channel, and it might be the unpopular opinion, but I think when you look at a film in terms of how it's made, storytelling, you know, the visuals, cinematography, acting, I think it's by far the highest quality and more than likely best Friday the 13th movie. And yet I found myself, like, keep in mind, you know, my oldest son has just started to get into horror movies, and I was about his age when I started too. You know, you're in your early teenage years, and the amount of nudity that is unnecessarily on display in that movie was just fucking outrageous. Like, I get having some, and I get that it's Friday the 13th, so it's going to have way more than Halloween. You know, it's just a Friday the 13th trope. But they needlessly cut back several times during that movie to be like, oh yeah, intense chase scene, but let's look back on this girl who's half naked. Back to the intense chase scene. Oh, let's cut back to the girl that's half naked again. And it's just like, holy fuck. Like, really? Do you need to do that?
Yes.
And
you know that point where you cross the line and you realize, dude, you're an old man now? Everything you just said puts you on the other side of the you're an old man line.
So what you're telling us is it was super awkward.
Oh, it was definitely awkward.
Awkward!
You don't need to ruin the pacing of a scene to be like, more nudity. More nudity. Oh, got to go back to the titties. Got to see them. And it's just like, really?
Titties never ruined the scene. They only enhanced them.
Oh.
I don't know where you think you're going with this segment, but the rest of us are all quite happy with it.
You guys are all happy with the idea of ruining the pacing of a scene just to be like, by the way, there's titties in this movie, even though I just showed you that 10 seconds ago.
Yes. I don't get bored. I don't, you know, it's not going to happen. In fact, sometimes I watch movies where the people are always naked late at night.
Oh, you don't say, huh? I think I had a dream like that the other night. Not in the way.
Fab.
Yeah, apparently all the 80s stuff there too. You told us about that already.
Yeah. It was...
The only bad time for titties is if you're visiting an old folks home.
Or like But what if it's like a family member, John?
Doesn't change the statement.
Oh, well, that's not surprising. Okay.
Right? Oh God, hang on. That ain't as bad as watching American Beauty with your daughter right after the finger roller coaster. Wow. Wow.
I didn't know Frank Riker was a family man. Wow, that's
yeah,
I
don't think I knew that either.
That's interesting.
I did. I knew there was a Mrs. Riker in
Wow.
Little Rikers.
Can you imagine Little Rikers?
I think they'd have the most bomb fucking dad on the planet.
I'm imagining kids like the kids from that movie Talladega Nights.
Those kids are awesome in that movie.
Goals. Fucking
Chuck,
goals.
I'm gonna punch you right in the mouth. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Those kids were hilarious in that movie.
I could see the kids being the ones that just sort of keep Frank level headed. It's like there's Frank, and then there's awesome, husband and Father Frank, and then we go through the door to Hot Tub Frank, which is just
how he got little Franks.
What do we got here? Jesus, Tommy says Frank. Yeah, I don't know where he was going with that, Frank. I tried to put it back on the rails. He was having a Johnny moment, I think. Sean, I've been showing my daughter the classic. Hang on, what kind of classics are we talking about here? Because the conversation has been everywhere. I'm assuming it's horror classics, right?
No, he's showing his daughter Porky's.
Hey, it's John in the house. What's going on, man? Missed you the other night, dude. You and Frank stole the show when Super Chat.
You know what I want to know? What is that picture? What's the picture icon that John has? Who is that supposed to be? Is that? It looks like the.
Kind of looks like William Scott.
No,
he's like a rock star.
I was gonna say he looks like the lead singer of a band, but I can't think of which band. I want to.
That's what I keep thinking.
Are we just assume? Oh, okay, it is.
Oh, it's okay from Kill Switch Engage. Okay.
I was about to be like, you just assume because he has his hat sideways and he's got the. Cool
no, he was familiar.
Yeah.
Like it's a face I've seen, and I've seen like some. I had a friend who was big into Kill Switch and had like while we were partying, he used to have a lot of like live DVDs of that band on when we were partying. So that's where I've seen it before. I knew I'd seen it before.
Speaking of faces we recognize, we will take a break to bring you this message from our sponsor. Unless someone else wants to be a sponsor.
Hi guys, this is Terrence, Fandom Empire, and you're watching Fandom Empire Live, which Sean didn't invite me to, so it's probably going to be a piece of shit!
Well, we had, yeah.
Guy needs to record different commercials if he's going to keep sponsoring the show.
Well, I mean, maybe we could talk to him. Terrence doing this prick. Oh my god!
Don't worry, Frank. We made sure to do this episode at a time where Terrence was at the movie theater.
What's he seeing? You know what he's seeing?
He put in the chat.
What did he put?
think you said he was seeing Space Jam.
Oh, that sounds like a Terrence movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds.
Well,
terrible.
he said it's shit, so he's not enjoying it. But I have
So
a feeling
texting
Terrence
you-
goes to see movies at the theater quite often. So
Can we lock him in it?
That would be
Kenny.
a cruel and unusual punishment to any other people attending that, since there's
It would
probably
be
children there.
illegal as well.
Can't do that. Can't do that to the kids, man. Think of the children. Think of the children.
All right, let's move on to this little piece of business. So there's been details going around about the Halloween 4K ultra high definition sets that are out there. And specifically, if you look in the middle of your screen, you see the albums of Halloween 2, or sorry, the vinyls of Halloween 2, and Halloween 3. Now, not only did we report that you get the whole soundtrack from those movies, basically every other place reported the same thing too. And this is not good news, by the way. This is bad news. It is not the whole albums. These are only 7-inch vinyls, and so you get one song on one track. One song on one side and one song on the other side. So you're getting 2 songs from each movie, which for some of you may significantly decrease the value of this set, or maybe it won't. But
That's pretty fucking stupid.
I don't like. I don't really think that matters.
No.
I think they're more for show. They seem to be decorated, so there'd be something you'd more want to show off than actually use. And you can get that music on, Spotify or something else. So I mean, I know there are people out there who like to play vinyls, but
there's no better sound than vinyl.
People I know who collect vinyl usually have, some vinyls that they listen to, and a lot of vinyls they won't throw on their fucking player, like, no matter what. So, I mean, me and Johnny have a friend in our football chat who is all crazy into vinyls, and I don't even know if he opens them. I don't think he
You're
opens
saying
them.
they buy 2 copies?
Yeah, there's a couple of them in the chat now.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think these pieces, especially if you look at them,
oh my god,
they look more like they're
Frank's stealing the show again.
I don't even. I
think that's pretty spot on, John. That's pretty spot on.
Nah, it's John.
So every time I say his name, I got to say it, John.
Yeah, you got to say it like what's that? What's the AEW announcer? Johnny Roberts?
Justin Roberts.
Justin Roberts.
Or it might be getting pronounced like Philly slang, like John, which is a descriptor for a noun, in case you were wondering.
How do you know it's not yawn?
Because I grew up in that area.
Okay.
Anyway, I think it's important to stress, just because we gave out the wrong information, as did many others, that it's not the full albums that you get in this set. It's 2 songs from each, and if you read their updated description, it does say which 2 songs those are. And then again, we believe Thursday or Friday this week, we may get the release of the details regarding Halloween 4 and 5 and all the extras that are going to be with those 2 as well as others. So be on the lookout. Could be a busy news week. But now it's time. We'll what do we got? We're all the way to Harrison Ford, right? Yeah, we've talked.
Are we?
We talked. Sure that you run the show,
shit, we're only a fucking half hour in.
Well, no, we have the top 10. It's Harrison Ford. I wasn't going to skip these. It's going to go one at a time here. So
one at a fucking time.
So at first it's like, oh wow, we got all this extra time, and then we say it's one at a time. Tyler's like, oh, well, what the fuck?
What the fuck? One at a time. I barely remember seeing half this shit.
You know what? I think I'd rather have Terrence on here than you.
No. You take that the fuck back. Take it back.
All right.
Ah.
That's the way it's gonna be. All right.
Well, I guess he just went and fucked himself.
Yes, I guess he did, in fact, go and fuck himself.
Okay, but now I look like I'm wearing a Fandom Empire live hat.
Yeah, I mean, we'll call
It's
you
like one of those Russian, one of those furry hats, like
Those
this.
are sure.
It goes with much. I mean, I guess the colors do match.
Yeah, no. It's almost like you planned that out.
I planned on Tommy just disappearing and me getting a Fandom Empire live non-brim top. No, I had a sneeze, Frank. That was a sneeze. I just didn't think you guys would want to listen to it. Well, welcome you back with a new attitude. That's not a new attitude.
All right. Let me get things started here. Let me just say, first off, Harrison Ford is my favorite actor, period. Fucking love this guy. I'd say I don't know if there's a bad movie he's ever made, but he was in Anchorman too. So
Hey, you remember that quote from Fanboys?
Ouch.
Remember that?
I mean,
remember that quote from Fanboys?
That's the only bad movie he's been in.
oh no, I'm sure he's been in more.
Was he in Fanboys?
He's in The Rise of Skywalker.
He's in Cowboys and Aliens.
I don't mind.
yeah, I
that.
was gonna say like the dude was in Cowboys and Aliens. Let's not.
I liked Cowboys and Aliens. It wasn't great, but it was decent.
For some reason, I was just remembering the quote as like Harrison Ford sucks, but I think it was actually Han Solo.
Guys, I'll remind
sucks,
you, he
wasn't
was
it?
in an Expendables movie.
Oh, he did show up in one of those, didn't he?
Yeah,
That's
He's
the third
he's
one.
the pilot, right?
the drummer. It says drummer in his
thought
list.
he
I
was
pulled it up for dates for movies in case we needed it. But yeah, no, he's listed as drummer. I don't know if that's a name or
I think that's a name.
an occupation. I don't know, but it's
I
just
think
drummer.
he's like a CIA boss or something like that.
Yeah, see, I thought he was the pilot. I thought that was the shit. He was basically Han Solo. He was in a pilot something.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that movie too well.
He was also in Ender's Game. I mean,
I never seen that. That's one Harrison Ford. I mean, there's probably a handful I haven't seen.
I
but I've
haven't seen a
most
lot of
catalog.
Ford movies, so it's going to be an interesting list.
Um,
and here I expected Tommy to be the one to break the one Star Wars, one Indiana Jones.
No, I didn't.
moratorium.
I made sure.
That's what I'm
did
saying.
not
Like,
do
I
it.
expected if anyone was going to be like, yeah, I haven't seen 10 Harrison Ford movies without counting multiples, so I just counted multiples. 'cause I've only
Mind you,
seen
I
10.
haven't seen a lot of these in years, and like if I saw them, I saw them once, but I made it. I made it.
Kieran, I know that you didn't follow the same rules that the rest of us did, whether that was intentional or on purpose. I don't know. How do you just want to read your 10 that way you stay on pace?
That's two words that mean the same thing.
Sure. Yep. So my number 10 was The Force Awakens. I'm not a big fan of that movie. It's okay. It's good. I like one. Like I'll watch it again. It's not unwatchable for me. But he was really good in it, regardless. Like his whole like Chewie we're home stuff and all that was really great. He did a great job. I have no problem. Yeah. No, he was still really great in that movie. So regardless of what you think about that movie, like his whole, like, yes, I do every time. And, like, what was the second time I screwed you over? Like all of his lines in there were great. He followed he changed his sort of character a little bit to fit the movie a little bit in that movie, but he still did a great job. So The Force Awakens, number 10.
John?
Are we going to, we doing one by one?
Yeah, one by one. Yeah.
Okay. My number 10 is at least in part because of, remembering the first time I watched it, which was actually with you one night at like 2 a.m. on television after a very long night. Force 10 from Navarone. It's a good World War II movie. It's a good story, and it puts a smile on my face remembering that night the first time I watched it. So Force 10 from Navarone.
I gotta give you horns for having that, because I thought I'd be the only one that has that on their list. Him and fucking Robert Shaw and
just a great cast all around. It was a really good ensemble.
Carl Weathers. Oh my god, they're all so good in that movie. And the movie also has like a comedic touch to it too at times. It's good. I think we watched that together once, actually, downtown.
Did you literally not listen to anything I just said?
I was reading a message, so.
I said he made light of that in part.
I literally said it's my number 10 because I remember the first time I watched it, which was with you at like 2 a.m. after a really long night on like the classic movie channel. Yeah.
I meant the really long night part. I didn't know where you were going with that.
It was like 2 a.m. when we watched it.
After a really long night of 80s porn.
I said say it was gaming because I think you had a race that night as well.
I gotta say, I gotta take your horns away then, since I didn't remember that you first watched it with me. Therefore, it's probably the reason it's on your list, and I gotta take your horns away.
The horns were because you didn't expect anyone else to have it on their list, period. Not the reasons for why it's on my list.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to stand back in line.
I'm pretty sure that...
Tommy?
I'm pretty sure Sean's extra high today.
Not yet. Not yet.
So how mad would we be if I actually made my list of Mark Hamill?
What? I mean, I like Mark Hamill, but come on.
Has Mark Hamill even been in 10
No, that's not
cinematic films of consequence? I love the guy, but
Sushi Girl was good.
I mean, you could get a top 5 out of Mark Hamill, but I don't know about a top 10.
Okay. For my number 10, I'm pretty sure I saw this many moons ago. There's a movie called The Devil's Own. It's about
Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. Oh my god, that's a great
like a family man, and they're in it's a whole actiony type thing. They're fighting, blah blah blah, money, big money, blah blah blah. So I'd recommend it. I'd rewatch it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I remember when I finally saw that movie, it was like I didn't even know the movie existed. I saw it probably 10 years after it came out, and was just blown away by the story. The story, it's kind of sad, the story, to be honest. And it was so good. So
90s was a strong decade for Harrison.
It was 80s and 90s. I mean, for me, my number 10 is Hanover Street. Absolutely love this movie. Again, this was another one I seen. I was probably in my late teens, and I watched it with my dad, and I'd never seen it before. And it's just it's kind of like a love story set during war times, and very low budget, you can tell, and yet Ford is just tremendous in it. So Hanover Street for me.
At number 9, I have Air Force One, which is a movie that I like, and I like. I kind of have like a. I don't know what to say. I really love 90s movies. And so like all the action movies from the 90s, even like the anything to do with Clint Eastwood, or like, any of those sorts of movies that are kind of forgettable in the 90s, are movies that I love to rewatch. So, and I think Air Force One is largely, it's not like a movie that anyone would say is like, oh man, you really got to go back and watch this movie from the 90s. But when it pops up, those are the types of movies I love to watch over and over again. So it was good. And it's got Gary Oldman in it.
Johnny.
All right, for me, my number 9 is it's a classic because I just love the series of books mostly as much as the films, which have sort of been hit or miss, but it's rebounded lately with the TV series. It's Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan in Patriot Games. I had a toss up between which of the 2 Jack Ryan movies I was going to put on my list because I stuck to the only one part of a franchise rule just in general. So it came down to who the villain was, and I chose Harrison Ford versus Sean Bean from Patriot Games. I mean, come on. It's Harrison Ford versus Sean Bean.
I gotta watch those movies. I haven't seen them before.
And guess who dies again in that movie too?
How many? Okay, come on now. Let's be real. It's Sean Bean. How many movies does he not die in? Is a shorter list.
I don't.
It's definitely shorter though.
Thomas.
So, ew, that's so weird. So, I threw for number 9 Blade Runner. That's where Blade Runner made it on my list. You know, you got the whole sci-fi, you got the cyborg shit, you got replicants, and if I remember correctly, doesn't the movie end with Ford's character being like a cyborg or something like that? Replicant.
I mean, yes, no, maybe. It depends on your interpretation
Ambiguous.
of it, I guess.
Maybe they answered it in the Blade Runner. What is it? 2048. I never saw it.
2049, and
I don't know if they answered the replicant question in that. Did they?
Never seen it.
They did.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it since it first came out, and I don't really remember it too well.
That movie's just so spectacular, visually speaking. Like, that's what I want, like a new Star Wars movie to look like. But no, let's not do that. Stick to the same old fucking shit. Oh, wait, no, we don't even do that either.
So they don't do different, but they don't do the same.
So what do they do?
It's all just shit.
Yes, it is. It's shit.
I'm being a true Star Wars fan. It's all just shit.
It is shit.
Fucking
You
shit.
guys are starting to sound like someone else I know.
Forward.
Okay, number 9. Sean, what do you got? Let's put this train back on the tracks.
Apocalypse Now. Like, look at that cast. Holy fuck. If you haven't seen Apocalypse Now,
What's wrong with you?
Stream. That's right. I'm just saying, just leave. Just go.
Go watch it and then come back.
Go watch it and
You
then
want
watch
me to
us
leave
later.
again?
Apocalypse Now is
Are you
so
seriously
good.
telling us you have never seen Apocalypse Now?
I don't think so.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It's
leave,
worth
go
it.
watch it, and then come back.
It's worth it just for the drill sergeant.
Oh my god. Martin Sheen, Marlon Brando, Robert
Underage
Duvall,
Lawrence
Fishburne, Harrison Ford, Dennis Hopper. Oh my god. Yes, I was just reading that off of an IMDb page, but yes.
You kind of have to with that film because there's just so many big names on it that like you start reading the cast list and it's like, wow, this is ensemble before ensemble.
Yeah, no, it was great. Great stuff. Kieran, what do you got at 8, man?
I have Blade Runner, which is interesting because I don't like that movie very much.
Oh.
But I really like Harrison Ford's acting in it. Like, I remember that's what kind of saved it and made me keep watching it to the end, was that I like that. I like the kind of like, detective noir type style that they had in there. And yeah, a lot of the visuals were really cool, but as much as I love slow going movies, I really thought that one was just not keeping my attention. I might have to give it another try, but I do remember specifically thinking that Harrison Ford was really good in the movie.
What do you got, Johnny?
Oh, my number 8 is an odd one for Harrison because he plays a non-American. K-19, the Widowmaker.
I remember seeing that in theaters.
Like, there's just I don't know what it is. Like, that era was really big on sub movies, and this one was just really good. And something about Harrison Ford playing a Russian just felt so different for him, I guess, because I can't really think of any other times where he's played a heavily accented character. So it was different, but it was still good. Plus, he had Liam Neeson in the movie too, which was, another guy that it's hard to shake a stick at a bad movie he's been in. So yeah, K-19, the Widowmaker is my number 8.
How about like everything he's appeared in the last 5 years?
Oof.
Like, Liam Neeson's a great actor. I like him a lot, but most of his movies now are direct to video.
I'm just blaming that on the the cycle of films we're in. Like, just
Kieran, if you insult Liam Neeson like that again, I will find you. And
I mean, he was at MIB International.
It's not hard to find me. You know where I live.
I got some of your. Actually, I got to find you guys anyway. Actually, you guys will be here Saturday, so pick up your damn shirts.
Yeah, I'm coming. Actually, I didn't even know. Were we supposed to be there today?
Yeah, but Zach's here, and you guys are coming Saturday. So.
Oh, okay.
You clearly missed the message at like.
Apparently, he missed
8
all
o'clock.
I missed everything. I was sleeping during all of the day because I worked last night. So
he caught enough to see. All right, top 10 Harrison Ford movies. That's it.
Pretty much.
The fuck you making fucking faces with me for? The fuck did I do? I never fucking bothered anyone.
I had to catch up on a lot of stuff today too.
Dude,
so,
relax.
No, don't fucking tell me.
How about you just? How about you just give us your number 8 then?
Yes. How about that?
Oh, is it my turn now?
Well, I just went, so yes.
Well, isn't that delightful?
Dean's missed everything so far. I knew he wasn't here earlier.
I'm sorry, Dean. You haven't missed much. It's all just been shit anyway.
Do I need to inject some positivity into this? Don't make me do it.
Is it of the toxic variety?
Hi guys, this is Terrence, Fandom Empire, and you're watching Fandom Empire Live, which Sean didn't invite me to, so it's probably going to be a piece of shit!
Okay, I'm going to say
he's not a very good sponsor because I think he's back like a few checks.
Positivity, I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah. So anywho, I came up with a movie presumed innocent. Ford is in like a prosecutor type role. I believe there was like a murder investigation. I think I saw most of it before. It was a good flick for one.
You think you saw most?
I think I saw most of it, but that's good enough.
I don't think I've seen all of it, but what I do remember is it was a good flick. I went through a phase for a while. I was really into like the whole law type films with the other plot elements and such, that sort of thing. I really was into like stuff like NCIS, all that sort of thing.
Terrence says Sean doesn't believe that you're Team Terrence, Dean. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
Oof.
I said it. I went there.
Doesn't being racist require you being
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah.
It's horns from me, man. Horns from me. My number 8 is Witness. And if you haven't seen Witness yet, again, pause the stream, go watch Apocalypse Now, take a bathroom break, hit the joint, get some cupcakes, have a soda pop or two, and then watch Witness.
I think I've seen half of your list maybe so far. Not even.
You haven't seen Witness, huh? I think you would have really liked that movie.
Is it from the 90s?
I think it's 89. No. No, sorry. I think Witness is 84, 85.
Why is everything from the 90s shit, Kieran?
No, I love everything from the 90s.
Okay, that's good.
Witness was 85.
85.
I still have my IMDb page up, yeah.
What about Scream? You love
That's
Scream?
the year I was born.
Yeah, Witness is 8 for me. Kieran, what do you got at 7?
I have Temple of Doom. I mean it is my lowest rated of the what the fuck?
I can see Frank Riker's voiceover promo of Witness. Debuting in theaters this Friday, Witness with Harrison Ford. Watch as he screws the Amish. Rated R.
All right. Well, that makes me want to see it a lot less. So, yeah, Temple of Doom is my lowest indie movie, but I actually really like it. It's a nicely paced, like fun episode. It's maybe not got the craziest, well done story, but I do really love to watch it. So even though it's my lowest rated Indiana Jones movie, other than that fourth movie that I don't want to talk about.
We don't talk about the fourth movie. It's like the third Godfather movie. It doesn't really exist.
Yeah, like honestly, it doesn't. That's I mean, and I'm not even that way about most movies. You guys know how I feel about the Halloween movies. Like, they all exist, but the fourth the fourth Indiana Jones movie doesn't exist. However, Temple of Doom, great movie, loved it. It's might even be the most rewatchable of the three to just go through and watch it quickly. So,
no comment, Johnny.
I'd probably say agree to disagree there, but to each their own, I guess. My number 7, because apparently I have to update this list on the fly because somehow I forgot something that goes in higher than this, but doesn't really affect anything lower than this, is Apocalypse Now.
For all the reasons we said earlier.
Yeah, I don't really need to say anything more than what you've said.
All right, Thomas, your turn, asshole.
I almost just fucking tipped over my bookshelf if you happen to notice that.
Oh, no, I didn't notice. Don't do that.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, I had my chair reclined and then I fucking moved, and that wasn't a good deal. I kind of,
after all that work, could you imagine?
my heart kind of skipped a few beats right there.
Everything but the Kills poster falls off.
Hey, I didn't build it. My wife built it. She does the building. Anywho. So I know Johnny's gonna give me shit for this one. I'll preface by saying that. And it's because Harrison Ford's role in this movie was very fucking minor. But I love these movies. And it had to make its way on here. And this seemed like a good place to put it for how much I like the movie. Anchorman 2.
I don't hate that.
Fucking Harrison Ford's role is so fucking minor. All he fucking does is he's like Ron Burgundy's boss, and he's fucking ripping his ass open. And
I know he's like he basically is like interviewing them to be the next newscasting team, and then he just like goes right like super close to Will Ferrell and says, "You are the fucking worst Anchorman I have ever seen," and it like ruins his life.
Yeah,
but that whole scene with him,
fired.
that whole scene with him is hilarious.
Yeah,
so.
And it's funny because like I was looking at little synopsis of the scene, and as I was thinking back on it, and people comment like he so did not want to fucking be there. And that just kind of makes it all so much fucking like his whole fucking demeanor, his whole fucking face. He did not want to fucking be there. He did not want to be in this shitty movie.
Let's be honest though.
He was a fucking Ford. He didn't have to be.
That's kind of Harrison Ford a lot of the time.
Yes, it is.
It's not because necessarily he doesn't want to be in the movie. It's because that's the fucking look on his face.
I feel that.
Like
I have that resting bitch face too. I feel it.
Well, he has that face he constantly has that face that you would expect him to have.
Sean, what the fuck are you doing?
The fact you're just now commenting on that when he's been fucking around.
I was gonna let it go, but I didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He was fucking going back and forth with those fucking things.
You're asking for an idea of what the fuck he was doing when he doesn't even know what the fuck he was doing.
Don't you realize we're having a conversation?
The guy was just pressing buttons.
Man 2, and I checked out.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're high as fuck.
You're up for number 7.
No, I know. Force 10 from Navarone.
What the fuck? What's that?
What's that? We've already talked about it in this.
What did you say?
He said Force 10 from Navarone.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I heard numbers. I heard 410, and I was like he just said, "Oh, the movie's 410, 17, 20," and I was like, "What the fuck what is going wrong? Like, are you one of those crazy replicant robot monsters? Like,
don't, no. Don't, no. I can't
just start
think about that shit after the
spouting out code. Oh my god, Sean's actually a robot.
Are
you
so high?
We all start talking about the Matrix.
Are you so high that Kieran questioning your status as a human being
are you
is actually something you're contemplating? Are you that high already?
Yay! We know who the favorite is. Oh, never mind. If you brought Johnny back, we're all shit.
He just had to keep the same order in the circle, or else he'd get confused going around it for the rest of the list.
Oh.
Tommy took this opportunity to go take a shit.
No, he took this opportunity to go
By
fuck
the way,
himself.
people on Thursday show, Fizz, and our weekend show were asking what happened with you and the long-awaited poop last week. Legitimately, it was a topic of conversation throughout the rest of the week.
How'd that go? How long?
Oh, it was.
Did you measure?
Did I? No, I didn't measure. Who
When?
takes time? What?
Can I go yet?
The only thing that was measured was length of time, and I was still in the bathroom about a half hour after we got off. So, yeah, it was good.
That sounds painful.
Tommy's
Real
back
good.
fucking himself. All right, so we are at our number 6, Kieran. K-Dog.
That's not Conan.
Number 6, you're up.
What did I say last? No. I got A New Hope down here, and being as my list has the Star Wars OG movies in it, this is my lowest rate of the OG ones, and I feel like I still really like Harrison Ford's performance in this, and it's what made people fall in love with Han Solo to begin with, but I don't think he really picks it up that much until you get to Empire Strikes Back, where his character is amazing. So this one is, it's still Han Solo, and he's still good, and I like a lot of the lines he has in this one, but it's the lowest rated OG for that reason.
How about you, Johnny? What do you got, man?
All right, my number 6 is Air Force One. It's a seminal 90s classic.
That's my 6 too, so I'm just gonna get that out there now.
It's just a great Harrison Ford movie with a good supporting cast behind him. Was Glenn Close was the vice president?
Yeah. Gary Oldman, baby.
Gary Oldman, yep.
Great villain in that movie.
I mentioned that already.
My number 6 came in with a movie called Frantic. In this film, Harrison Ford's playing this guy's. I forget if he was like on vacation or if it was a honeymoon or some shit. But basically, he's in a hotel. Suddenly, his wife goes missing, and she got abducted, and he's got to play the games. It's like a Taken, basically, I guess you could say, to a certain extent. It's a good flick. It's a good flick.
Did they share a certain set of skills?
That line was unfortunately not featured in this feature mode. I've lost the words. I was going to make it funny, but it's gone. So
that line was not featured in this feature film?
Yes.
As
feature, motion picture. I don't know what the fuck I was going to say. I guess I'll just go fuck myself, I guess,
Again?
It's one of those fucking days. Yes, again, Johnny. Many times each day. Is that what you wanted?
How many times can you fuck yourself in 1 hour, dude?
Many!
All righty then. My number 6 was Air Force One, and we already talked about that. So, Kieran, what's your number 5, man? Kieran.
Number 5 is The Last Crusade. If I could highlight anything in this movie, it would be the back and forth between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. They did a really good job of making that sort of family relationship where it's been strained a little bit, and I really dug the whole dynamic of the movie and the way that they paired off each other. It's not as good as another movie that's coming up on the list, but I thought that between the two of them was really awesome, especially when they're tied up back to back in that one scene and having to argue. And did a great job there.
What? Okay.
I don't
Johnny, what do you got at
understand.
5, man?
All right, my number 5 is 42. It is a really great biopic. It is just a phenomenal story of a phenomenal, person and athlete in, the great Jackie Robinson, played amazingly well by Chadwick Boseman. But then you've got the unsung, Branch Rickey, played by Harrison Ford, who, I'm a huge baseball fan, and I didn't really know who Branch Rickey was until I watched this movie. And since then, I've learned a lot more about the history of the game, and see just how much he as a person changed the game of baseball as a whole. Like, there's so much that guy's responsible for in baseball that doesn't get credit for like he does for Jackie Robinson. But just a great actor playing a great person in a great film about a great person.
I forget, is he the GM of the team?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I remember that. I liked that movie a lot, but I saw it once when it came out.
Tommy, number 5.
So, on my number 5 comes in at a film that honestly some people may never hear of, but it's pretty notable. It wasn't George Lucas's first movie. It wasn't. But it was, I'm assuming, his first time working with Harrison Ford. And it's become a pretty kind of like a cult classic, I guess. And that's American Graffiti.
Oh my God. So I'm gonna jump a little bit ahead here and let everybody know this is number 3 on my list. It's an amazing movie. I love it. It's crazy to think some of the terrible dialogue George Lucas has written, and then to find out that he wrote American Graffiti is kind of like, what happened?
Did you forget how to write dialogue in 20 years?
But no, it's such an iconic movie, and it's so good. And to be honest, without American Graffiti, Star Wars doesn't exist. They hired George Lucas. George Lucas got a deal with Fox because of the success of American Graffiti. So, I guess we were at 5. So my 5 is The Fugitive. I mean, Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones. What else do you need to know? Like early 90s Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones at that. Like, sign me up. Sign me up. Kieran, what do you got at 4, man?
Let me check the list. Oh, Return of the Jedi. I'm not even going to say much about Return of the Jedi because Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. That's all I got to say. He's not as good as he is in Empire. Like, basically, like I said about the Indiana Jones movies, not quite as good as he is in Empire, which Empire is probably by far the best written Star Wars movie, dialogue wise and everything. So that gives Harrison Ford better stuff to work with, but I still like him a lot in Return of the Jedi, especially when they're when he's tapping the guy's shoulder and then running around and tricking people and be like, yeah, it might work. He's very charming and he's still really great in that movie. He's still better than he is in A New Hope. So,
what do you got at 4, Johnny?
All right, my number 4 is What Lies Beneath. Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer does a really good early 2000s era, psychological thriller in the vein of an old Hitchcock type film. Just amazing, great story, great performances. I really, really I enjoyed it. You watched the VHS ridiculously large number of times that I thought I was going to wear it out just with how frequently I watched it.
Yeah, Ford is just incredible in that movie because that was sort of a different opportunity for him.
Yeah.
Tommy B.
Air Force One.
Get off my plane.
Get off my plane.
That line. So good. So good. I already just excuse me. I know we've already talked. See, here was the problem. We're now repeating ourselves some of the times here. So we'll start going through it quickly then. My number 3, we already talked about American Graffiti. Absolutely fucking love it. Kieran, what do you got at 3? Sorry, I guess 2 for you, right? Or did I skip one?
No,
You
yeah.
skipped it. We're still at 3.
Sorry. My 4 was Blade Runner 2049, which I think is visually the best movie ever made. So,
so what am I on 3 now?
You're on 3.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is my number 3. I always think it's interesting to go back and.
Oh man,
Can we just call this Frank Empire Live?
The
Frank Empire Live?
The one you don't find behind the black curtain.
What?
Can I go home yet?
Only one of those is not behind the black curtain. You don't remember the adult section of like every video store was like behind the black curtain?
So, moving on.
My number 3, right? That's where we're at now?
Sure, why not?
All right, my number 3, because I can follow the rules, is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mean, Indiana Jones' dad is James Bond. I don't need to say anything more than that. The chemistry is just phenomenal. It's amazing, and it's awesome.
Tommy?
Well, I'm happy I'm not the only one with a Star Wars and Indy for my number 1 and 2, but anyway. Coming in for my number 3, and I am I'm the only one who put this on my list. That's a little interesting. I guess this film has a little more meaning to me. That's a story for another time. It's a film where Ford plays the role of a guy called Jack Ryan, and it's Clear and Present Danger. It's yeah. You hate it, don't you, Sean?
No, we've already talked about this.
No. I had Patriot Games.
Oh, did you have Patriot
Yeah.
Games? Okay.
Yeah. Patriot Games is like a prequel to.
Well, he still said a man named Jack Ryan.
Patriot Games was before. Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen Patriot Games before, but I did see Clear and Present Danger, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I only found out after the fact that it was another movie.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Tom Clancy movies are all like that, and it's often like a lot of people don't know that they're they link with like a bunch of other movies. Ben Affleck was Jack Ryan at one point.
What lies beneath some of our fear, some of all fears.
Some of all fears. There's a whole bunch of them. They're all
Clancy thing.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even know. Okay, guess I learned something today.
The Tom Clancy Jack Ryan series is like 20 books deep.
Okay.
It's huge. Like the Chris Pine played him
in Shadow Recruit.
Yeah, and then they did the
I've
Amazon
read,
Prime
Tom
TV
Clancy book in my
reboot
life.
with John Krasinski, which to this point is the earliest Jack Ryan we've seen.
Okay.
And it's really well done. I've heard.
Amazing.
I haven't seen
a
it.
little
My
bit
wife
of a little
loves
change.
It, though.
Yeah, I just binged the first 2 seasons a couple weeks ago again because I got behind. It's the closest to authentic Clancy canon while changing a few things inside the canon that still work. Like they changed Kathy's medical specialty, but it makes sense in the story.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they like that series just they had to bring it into new times though, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, my wife loves John Krasinski. She's got a little.
Yeah, I don't know Tom Clancy all that well, but hey, neat. So yeah, that movie's my number.
I still need to watch the movie.
The Rainbow Six games are Tom Clancy.
I'm aware of that much, but I've never played.
That's basically there's a movie on Amazon Prime now with Michael B. Jordan that's in the Jack Ryan canon.
Is that No Mercy? That one?
I think that's the name of it or something. It's something like that.
No Remorse?
I think that's what it is.
What, like a billion motherfuckers play this character or what?
No, this is a different character. This is a different character.
Same universe.
Okay.
All right. Tommy, I think, right? No.
Tommy just hit his. So
mine was American
number.
So what's your two, Kieran?
Did you do your number 2?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is my number 2. Like I said before, I've said it many times on this channel. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but I do acknowledge that it probably is the best Star Wars movie. It's the best written. It's got the greatest lines. And like, we do know that Harrison Ford ended up coming up with some of those lines, so, saying, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say that, George. Let me come up with something on my own, and that sort of thing. The whole I love you, I know thing. And just his acting it, the whole, like, he's able to say things like, like you could pull the ears off a Gundark or something dumb like that. He's able to turn that into a usable line, which is so hard, because when you see Mark Hamill do some of those lines, like, I'm going to go down to Tosche Station, get some power converters. It sounds really dumb when Mark Hamill says it. I like Mark Hamill, but like, Harrison Ford does a really good job of turning some of that really bad verbiage and making it usable. And then the things that he changed or the things that were usable, he made really good. Like, he does a really good job. And that's why Han Solo, even not really being the main character, the title character, is so well beloved, because he does such a great job. And he's also the most relatable character in those movies. And yeah, it's all brought to life by Harrison Ford.
Johnny, penultimate time.
All right, my penultimate, it's already been mentioned. It is the tale of the great Richard Kimball. It's Fugitive.
I remember, so my parents had me babysat that night, and they went out to watch it. Little did I think years later that I would see that. I saw that when I was pretty young for the first time too. It's probably like 10 or 11 years old, and was completely blown away. You weren't hearing anything. Okay, well, thank you for that, because I could have swore I did. Tommy, what do you got at 2, man?
So for my number 2, it shouldn't be all that difficult to figure out. I got 2 spots left. I came in with, what's my favorite indie movie? Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Classic. You know what really pisses me off too is a lot of people will be like, I'm gonna go watch Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's like, it's not called that. It's just Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's it. There's no Indiana Jones. Except for in the movie, which of course he's the main character. Matt Whitfield, $8 super chat in, says American Graffiti is the best Harrison Ford movie. I love it. His role is so small in it, but yet so significant. I just love the cruise around the town in that movie. There's not a whole lot of movies like that. So my number 1 is The Empire. Or sorry, my number 2 is I'll give my 2 and 1. 2's Last Crusade. And for me, for all the reasons, I think, Kieran, you had it on your list, or at least you talked about it with Ford and Connery. I mean, they're unmatchable. And Empire Strikes Back, greatest movie ever made. All right, Kieran, number 1.
This one is The Fugitive, is my number 1. And The Fugitive was in my top 10 movies that we did, top 10 like movies of all time. Like, it was in my top 10 for there, and it's. To me, it's actually like far ahead of the pack for me. Like, I like Star Wars movies, but I acknowledge that Star Wars movies are not the greatest cinema. They're fun and they're exciting and they're nostalgic, and I loved them as a kid, and I love watching them with my kids. But The Fugitive is a masterpiece. We did top 10 masterpiece movies. That movie is an absolute masterpiece. I love it. I can watch it over and over again. Like, it's just, and it really. It might not be known the same way now, but it was really into pop culture too. It was the one-armed man who does it. Pause if you've heard that before. It's been in so many different shows and cartoons and spoofed in so many different ways. The same thing as the scene where Harrison Ford says, I didn't do it. And Tommy Lee Jones says, like, I don't care. And they're, in the tunnels, same thing, spoofed in Star Wars, in the Clone Wars series, spoofed in so many different things and revisited. And just an absolute classic. Harrison Ford is awesome in it. You really do feel bad for the character who doesn't know what the fuck, like, why am I being framed for this? And he does. One of the reasons why he's so good in this movie is he's not a badass in this movie. He's absolutely not his badass character. He's not running, he's not taking the fight to the people. He's like freaked out, like, what the fuck? And he's obviously a smart character, finds a way to, do the research and do the detective work. And it also has Tommy Lee Jones, which, if this was my list day, we'd be doing top 10 Tommy Lee Jones movies. So
it's a good one.
It's a good, it's a fantastic movie. It was my number one, and I don't remember where it was on my masterpiece movies, but it was definitely in there.
Johnny, your number one?
I don't need to say anything other than Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that is all you need to say. Like, sorry, your number one is what? Empire. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, it's not like we haven't talked about Empire Strikes Back on this channel before.
We've never ever spoken of that movie.
We talk about Halloween a lot, and then there's another poster in your background.
Oh, that way. Yeah. Tommy, what do you got at one, man?
Not Empire Strikes Back. I had to ruin it. Yep. It's ruined. It's ruined. We all know that if I have to pick between the two, I go for Star Wars. I go for Episode 4, New Hope. Blah 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 blah. I roll with that, and I think the case could be made that in this film, besides being our intro to Han Solo, in a way, it's also when he's the most scoundrel, if you want to use that term. His character development hasn't really taken place yet. That kind of changes his life's course. When you see him in the cantina. He's bargaining for his money and all that sort of thing. He's having his back and forth with Jabba. The only time we see Solo in a film that you could argue is comparable is like that beginning sequence of The Force Awakens when he's dealing with the gangs and whatever the fuck that fucking monster was and all that shit. And
Raptor,
that's right. There we go.
Wrath.
Raptor.
No, you did. You did. Tommy didn't. Tommy said.
Okay.
Tommy said
not Reptar. Okay.
No, not Reptar.
Imagine it's just Reptar from
the green dinosaur. Yeah.
I want to say that was a meme when the movie came out.
It's Harrison Ford in a suit.
I'm fairly certain that Reptar was a meme in the Harrison Ford.
So yeah, New Hope always wins out for me of those two. I'm hoping to change all this shit out with a New Hope poster. I just got to find where to get a good printed one, and I already have the frame and all that good stuff. So.
We're gonna get to some wrestling talk here in just a couple minutes. But with us going to wrestling talk, we are gonna outro Tommy.
Yes, we are.
He doesn't give a shit about it. Tommy, where can everybody find you at, man?
You can catch me hanging out all of our good places, the Fandom Empire Den, blah blah blah, Fandom Empire page, so on and so forth, our Twitter. You can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at TommyB1650.
It's a good one, Jade. Good one. All right, Tommy, we'll catch you on the flip side, dude. Thanks again. All right, fellas. So there's a lot going on in wrestling right now, even since the last time we talked about wrestling on here. The Punk and AEW stuff is just blowing up. You got the Bryan Danielson stuff. I almost called him Daniel Bryan again, just force of habit. And then all of a sudden there's Bray Wyatt stuff and Adam Cole stuff. And surprisingly, I actually know who that one is.
That's very surprising.
So we thought if we're going to talk wrestling, we would bring on a special guest that these two don't know about. And joining us, he is the other co-host of the Inside Handoff podcast, one of the other ones anyways. It's Jared. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Yeah, I jumped in and saw you guys talking some movies and the Last Hope Jedi or something along those lines. And, figured I'd come on and talk about something I know what we're talking about. Like, that is the lovely sport of professional wrestling.
We were talking about porn earlier, though, so I mean, you could have jumped in then.
I came in way too late.
I don't know if I ever want this. No,
Well,
I'm scrolling through my Facebook and I see an IGN post that Star Wars has announced an R2-D2 Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't know it was still 1995.
I don't want to kill R2. I don't know if I want that.
You could.
It's Tamagotchi. Everybody would kill him.
A sequel trilogy.
That's true.
That, so, anyway, why don't we start here? Let's start with the Bray Wyatt stuff first. Seems to have come out of left field and all sorts of different reports coming out of different places. Just we'll start with Jared and then go to Johnny. Why? Other than just budget cuts.
Honestly, I don't know the exact reason why, other than budget cuts. I think Nick Khan looked at what he was making and figured that, okay, we're not going to need to pay this guy who we've used twice since January, I believe it is. He did a couple TVs and then WrestleMania. And that was, we're 8 months into the year. So I think they looked at that and essentially it was budget cuts. But the problem with that is he was one of the top merch sellers in the whole company. So you're, just shooting yourself in the foot financially if for budget cuts, you cut the guy no matter what he's making on his downside and you just wipe away all of that merch money that he's bringing into the company as well. So it doesn't make sense.
Johnny?
I think, again, like I don't want to say budget cuts, but I think that is what it is, but not quite in the same vein. I think the problem is the merchandise. I think that at some point in the last few years, they renegotiated his contract and he got a bigger slice of the merch pie. And they didn't realize that, the Firefly Funhouse was going to become the merchandising juggernaut that it did. I mean, it was getting up there with, the top merch movers in the whole company all the time, consistently. Even when he wasn't on TV, like, I think that they had to look at that and realize, crap, we're going back on the road. The merch money's about to spike again. And we're paying this guy his downside plus the merch. That we can't do that. And I think that's at least part of it. And I don't really know. They don't know what to do with him. Like that's the main problem. Like they can't. There are only a handful of people that character works with, and they've burned through them. They don't have them. Like, the John Cena program 2 years ago worked because John Cena can work with anybody, in that regard. And the promos were good, and they just went completely the other way.
John Cena can work with anyone.
Yes.
Oh boy, here we go.
So you want to see a John Cena to go to AEW and think that he could work with those guys?
I think he absolutely could work with those guys.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry if you think you can't, but you just...
What would he do?
He'd work with CM Punk.
The guy went out there and had 5-star matches with CM Punk. Like,
No. CM Punk had a 5-star match with John Cena. There's a difference.
No, there isn't.
Oh, yeah.
If you can have a 5-star match, you can have a 5-star match.
How many other 5-star matches does he have?
I think he's been in at least 3 or 4.
Was the Umaga one 5 stars?
If not, it should have been. Let's be real. Like, John Cena is penalized for one thing on the Meltzer scale, and that is he's a company guy who's been a company guy his entire career. He has had matches that have been as good as anything you see in the Tokyo Dome that don't get the stars because they're not in the Tokyo Dome. Like, I love the Tokyo Dome. I love the matches that those New Japan guys. But
I like the shape.
Like, let's be real. Watching Omega and Okada go for 75 minutes is not as good as Meltzer would make you believe it is. Like, it's 75 minutes, but it's
monumentally. It's monumentally better than anything John Cena has ever done.
That is factually inaccurate. Like, I would take the 75-minute Okada match and take he had a match with Michaels that went an hour on Raw in
April 2007.
Thank you. So, like, the guy can go. The guy can work. He's penalized being he's a company guy, and that's a good thing.
Tell me,
because he's embraced it.
Tell me about when John Cena, so he had a good match with two really good wrestlers that were able to carry him. Tell me a really good match where John Cena carried someone else.
He did wrestle Baron Corbin at SummerSlam.
But was it 5-star? Was it even
two guys that can go? I love the old story. Like, you put Ric Flair in there with a broom and he can get a 5-star. No, he can't. You need another person who can work to get 5 stars. I don't care who you are.
You need more than a heartbeat.
Exactly. Like, if that's all it took to have a 5-star match, where's the 5-star matches with Ric Flair and fucking
Boris Zukov?
Exactly. Or why aren't the matches with Ricky Morton 5 stars?
Because they were with Ricky Morton.
Okay, Robert Gibson. Sorry, I got my rock and rolls confused.
I think a good point on Cena, though, is he really is a guy who can bring out the best of who he's working with. For example, I don't know, did he have a trilogy 4 matches, something with AJ Styles in the past couple of years? Yeah. And every single one of those matches got better, and they showcased AJ and propelled AJ to not even just the main event level that he's at, but like the superior, like top guy AJ Styles. Like, you work with Cena and Cena brings out the best in you, then you're a made guy. So I think Cena does have that effect.
I think back to the point we had of Bray Wyatt, which is where we started. How we got to John Cena, I don't quite know, but
you broke my brain.
If you look at Bray Wyatt as a character, it was the Cena program at WrestleMania that made him the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree. Like, that was when you had 70,000 people singing. What was it?
He's got the whole world in.
He's got the whole world in his. You don't get 70,000 people chanting that song if the character's not over, and the character's over because he's working with somebody over. Like, this is the WWE. It's not about going out there and putting on 5 stars. It's about being entertaining while you're doing it. You can't rank a WrestleMania main event the same as you rank a Tokyo Dome main event, because the Tokyo Dome main event is about action. It's about intensity. It's about go, 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 go. Whereas North America can't handle go, 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 go. It can't.
They could. Go Shiozaki worked Ring of Honor.
Yeah, he worked in front of us once.
He did. So you can go, 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 go. But seriously,
he didn't even go, 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 go in that match.
That's true. I think Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, while an interesting character and a tremendous merch seller, I don't think it resonated with the audience that the WWE wanted it to.
I think it's foil.
Yeah, he needed a foil, and I don't think they gave him the right one. They put him with Seth Rollins, and it was the Fiend stuff with Seth was just bad because it didn't make sense. And I saw a take yesterday comparing, the Undertaker's dead man gimmick and what made it successful for 30 years. And they compared it to Bray Wyatt. And the interesting part I found was that Bray Wyatt's character, you couldn't really say what it is. It wasn't properly defined. You couldn't see the Fiend and know what to expect. When you get the Undertaker, you know you're going to get the dead man. You know you're going to get, the eyes rolling back in the head, the lightning, the flames coming up, whatever. You understood the Undertaker's gimmick. As crazy as it is, you understood his gimmick. The Fiend was not clearly defined in his gimmick, so he would use his big mallet and not get disqualified, and he would the lights flickering was cool, and you understood, okay, that's the Fiend's thing. But beyond that, he wasn't really a defined character that people could, okay, I understand the Fiend. He's weird and creepy, but I understand what his gimmick is. He was just this guy, and then you do the Firefly Funhouse stuff, and it got too confusing over the long haul, and they tried to do too much with it rather than just let him, switch between the two back and forth. The Fiend is this weird character, but don't try to do too much with it. Let him just be a weird guy, and the lights, the video screens go under and whatever, and he does his mandible claw thing, and that's that. That's what you get. They tried to do too much with it, with the Lily garbage and the Alexa Bliss garbage and the melting crown, whatever the hell that was at WrestleMania. So they tried to do all this other stuff with the box at WrestleMania. What the hell was that? They just added too much to it, and it just what is the Fiend?
He's the ultimate casualty of 50-50 booking.
Yeah, he's a fat juggler who gets speared by Goldberg.
I think you compared him to the Undertaker, and that was a comparison I wanted to make, because the Undertaker had this. It was, as far as characters go, they were both different. They were both, they weren't the usual. They weren't the average. They were different. They were special. But the difference is, I mean, you're here. You're probably the only other person who could probably answer this question. When was the first clean loss the Undertaker took on pay-per-view? Can you remember? Clean on pay-per-view.
Did he not lose to Hogan clean?
No,
that was a dirty finish.
No. And he didn't lose to Hogan.
He lost the rematch. He lost the rematch in Texas.
But that
was dirty.
Okay.
Exactly.
Foley in '96.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bray, they'd build him up, and then he'd get there, and somebody who's already up here, like Randy Orton or somebody else like that, would knock him off, and he'd go back down here. Taker never did that. He was all the way up, even when you put him in there with guys who can't, look at the people Taker had to work with back then. Like, yeah, he had a program with Hogan in '91. That's great. Who was his next real program with? Foley in '96, because between then he had like Giant Gonzalez, and the Yokozuna stuff was great, but
Bundy.
Yoko ain't working more than a 10-minute match.
No.
So I mean, who did he work with that could go between 90 and 96? Answer: no one.
Yeah,
but he still got over.
I think I think one of the biggest problems with Bray Wyatt is that they've cut him off so many times before that too, though. Like, do you remember? I really loved Bray Wyatt tag teaming with Matt Hardy. I thought that was great. And I was live in the audience a couple times during that, and the audience fucking loved it. But they cut it off quick. And there was a few things that kind of got over with Bray Wyatt where, I mean, Vince McMahon didn't like cinematic matches, and then did them his own way instead. But they were like, just give him to the fucking clown guy. Like, I feel like that's kind of how they were a lot of times. Like he sells merch, people like him. They're like, okay. But I feel like Vince was like, okay, like if he's doing good business and stuff, that's fine. Put him over here. But then every time he was getting over and like, oh, we should go with him versus John Cena. And he's like, yeah, well, fucking like, fuck that guy. Like, once he's done, we're kicking him out. So I feel like they chopped him off the legs so many times when he was getting so hot that, it's really hard to get a guy over after you do that so many times. And the clown thing got over with a lot of younger kids, which is weird. But I feel like with some of the, the smart marks, they kind of had enough by then. They knew he was going to get chopped off. Why get behind him when you know what's going to happen in the end?
Alrighty. Do any of you guys have a quick answer to this? Do you guys know the answer to Frank's question there?
What the? Probably not much, if anything at all.
It's getting cleared. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Because unless it's an actual like WWE film product, I don't think got anything. Really, they just had to clear them to do it. Like they may have given them a small
the hard part.
Yeah, they may have given them like a small booking fee, but I mean that would maybe be a couple grand.
Yeah.
Okay, so
very little.
The last time we had Jer on here, we talked about the heavy CM Punk to AEW rumors and excuse me, and that it seemed to be going somewhere, and you thought it was going somewhere. Since then, We've had the United Center book. We've had the AEW preview with all the teases on it. We'll go to Jared, then John. Like this is definitely happening. And do we now not have a good idea like where and when and who it's happening against?
The only thing I would say for sure is we know he's going to be there in Chicago on August 20th. They would not go through the hints. They would not book the building. They would not sell out in under an hour if they weren't going to deliver on this. It would be astronomically bad faith to the audience if you were going to drop all these teasers and not deliver on something like that. Because they know, okay, everything we're doing and saying right now is hinting towards CM Punk showing up that night. And yeah, it's only a 1 hour show. I mean, they'll tape Dark and Dark Elevation beforehand. So you're getting a 3 hour live show. But the TV is 1 hour. And that's where you get the main event guys, which is amazing considering they have announced nothing. They haven't announced, they've hinted at Punk. They haven't announced anything. They haven't announced who's going to be there. They haven't announced any matches, nothing. The only thing selling it is the idea of CM Punk showing up and AEW. And they just sold 18,000 tickets in 24 hours. So that's some hype that we don't see every day. So it's really impressive on the part of the company. And I think they're going to do something. But I have no idea who Punk is going to work first. I don't think it would be Omega, but with them canceling the Page Omega thing, I mean, Page, I guess it dropped that Page's girlfriend or wife or something is pregnant. Maybe that's why they took him out of the main event. But there's no hints about what they're doing with Omega going forward, so Punk is kind of hovering over that too. And I think they're going to deliver. I just don't know how.
I mean, I'm still sort of on the fence. I don't think Rampage is the place to do it. It's a Friday night show at 10 p.m. on TBS. Like I don't think that's the place. You know, like it's an early episode of the show, yes, and United Center is a big pull, and yes, they sold out really quickly. But let's be real. If they'd have announced All Out at the United Center pre-Punk rumors, they would have sold it out just as fast. The company is that hot right now, and that city is that hot right now. Like Chicago is, New York used to be the mecca of professional wrestling, but the mecca has slowly moved west, and it now sits in Chicago. That's the measuring stick of the North American market, is Chicago right now. And they filled out New York. They sold out the Arthur Ashe Center, or pretty close to it, with nothing. They move over to the United Center, which I think there's only 2,000 people more in the United Center than the Arthur Ashe Center. I think the Arthur Ashe tops out at 15 and a half, something like that. And they sold that out almost as quickly as they sold out the United Center. So I don't think, yes, Punk's a big deal, but I don't think that's where you get it. I think you get the tease there. I think you get the guy he's going to work with setting it up. I'm sure you hear the music. I'm sure you get the fake pop, but I don't think you get Punk's face there. I think you get the challenge. If you're a man, you show up on, was it September
4th, I think?
September 4th. You show up September 4th at the Sears Center, and I'll show you who the best in the world is. Something like that. I think that's the setup.
You don't think that they want something really good for their first Rampage show?
It's not their first
second.
Rampage show. It's not even their second.
The second one?
Yeah,
it's the fourth.
But still.
But either way, I don't care what time slot it's in.
It's the third.
They want
the first
people to watch that show. So the best way to do that.
The best way to do it is to announce it beforehand. People are going to be watching anyway, just for the possibility.
Yeah.
Like they're going to pop rating that night regardless.
You got to. I think Jared's right. I think you got to deliver.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
This is not the WWE. They don't do that. They don't do hey, we'll build up to something and then not give it to you.
Well, yeah, Lance Archer just won a title in his hometown. Foreign concept for WWE there.
Foreign concept for professional wrestling.
And but then again too, I know that was kind of a joke, but at the same time, he beat Moxley.
Well, yeah, like that's the thing. Like I think they are removing all of the bad WWE tropes that you get when you think of pro wrestling. They don't do 50-50 booking. They don't do, beat the guy in the hometown. They don't over promise and under deliver.
Can I dumb this down for the general audience a bit? And I include myself in that audience. What's the difference between 50-50 booking and what AEW does?
I win, you win, I win, you win, I win, you win. That's 50-50 booking. I win, 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 you win. That's not 50-50 booking.
So the advantage with that, for an example, let's say, okay, here's an example. WWE likes to book their title matches by having a champion in a tag match get pinned, and that all of a sudden creates a contender. Well, you just beat your champion. So that lessens your champion's value because he just got beat. The structure of the match doesn't matter. He just got pinned in the middle of the ring. Kenny Omega has not lost a match in at least 9 months since he won the title. If not, probably even longer before then. He is right now.
I think he's lost one match in like 18 months or something like that.
Exactly.
I think his first challenge for the belt was his only loss.
Yeah. So you have this guy who is absolutely unbeatable, and they have put in the time to prove that he is unbeatable. Right now, they're champion. You can't beat him. Nobody in the company has been able to beat him other than that one title shot. So it's just the structure of making you believe in guys that, and then let's say Adam Page goes on a year-long undefeated streak. Okay, you put an undefeated Adam Page in the ring with the undefeated, unbeatable champion Kenny Omega. That's booking right there. That's the goal. That's why UFC does it so successfully, because you take guys who you believe in that are unbeatable and you put them together and make money. That's the goal. Everybody's happy, right? WWE does not do that.
John also says in the chat that the United Center is the second one on the 20th.
Okay, see, that's another problem for me. That's still a full week of TV before you get to All Out. Like, it's too soon.
But I mean, what's the value in why not do it, get the rating, and then more eyes are going to be willing to buy the pay-per-view? Hey, we get to see Punk in action. Okay, there's the selling point. Just seeing Punk, I wouldn't. Would I pay $50 to see Punk? Maybe. I mean, yes, that's me, but I mean, the average.
We're gonna be doing that anyway.
Well, yeah, but the lapsed WWE viewer who wants to see CM Punk would probably not pay pay-per-view price just to see CM Punk. I would want to see CM Punk wrestle somebody from the AEW roster. I would pay $50 to watch him wrestle Jungle Boy. So there's the selling.
Yeah,
point.
That'd be a damn good match.
Well, yeah,
but,
for sure.
I mean, I think for me the reason I say it's too soon is that gives you 2 weeks to it's not.
Don't you think though? Sorry if I can interject here for a second, and I feel like this is what Jer, Ed, and Kieran were trying to say. The way that they marketed that United Center show was not like they did for any of the other Rampage shows that are already booked or Dynamites. Like the marketing is telling you CM Punk is going to be there. It's marketing 101. So like I don't mind. Like to me, I'm not going to be there. I don't mind your idea, Johnny. I like the whole call them out and then the anticipation builds up for the pay-per-view. I think that's probably the way they would go if it was anywhere but Chicago. But because it is Chicago and that venue wasn't even rented prior to then, really, and like obviously it was prior to the announcement, but you know what I mean. Don't you feel like it would be a little bit of bad faith to not deliver? Like the hardcore fan might understand, but will the everyday Joe that's expecting this, that's heard the rumors, would they understand?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking about. Like that's the problem. Like I dislike the entire concept of the lapsed fan because it's so stupid. Like like to me, the fallacy behind the lapsed fan isn't that you're gonna pull the WWE fan. It's the CM Punk fan. It's the guy that loved CM Punk, and they're gonna come anyway, because they're gonna come for the. I'm saying that word way too many times, and it sounds really disgusting in my head. But they're gonna show up on the promise of him showing up just because they've believed it every other time. This isn't the first time that we've had rumors of him coming back, and this isn't the first time that the fans have believed it, that there's been the hype train behind it. Is this the strongest that the train's ever been rolling? Yes, to the point that it's an inevitability at this point. And I think that's the difference. Everybody knows that it's coming. It's a question of when. And I think this is the right time to build up that disappointment if you're putting him in there with the right guy. And I think that's what it comes down to. Now, I don't know. That's the point. Like, I'm not the Booker man here, but to me, in my head, and again, this is pure fantasy booking on my part, I think if you want to throw the left turn, and you can very easily, that week on Dynamite, Jericho fails his fourth trial. Because this week's the third, and next week would be the fourth.
So the fifth would be the line up.
Well, the fifth trial would be the week before All Out, right? Because we've already had two. So this upcoming week would be the third. And that'll be on August whatever.
So 11. So 11 would be 4, 18. Yeah, 18th would be the 5th.
Okay, so if you have Jericho fail the fifth trial, then all of a sudden you've got MJF with nothing to do. If he comes out on Friday night, Jericho couldn't handle the labors, I'm the best. If he goes out there and cuts a CM Punk promo, which to my money, that's who you want him in there with. Because the simple fact is, like, a lot of people are saying, oh, you can't put him with MJF first because MJF can't lose. Yes, he can, and he should, because that's MJF's character.
Yeah, they can beat MJF like a drum, and he's not losing a single ounce of heat. Not
one iota, because that'll actually make him better. Because then he'll have the excuses. And he's MJF, and if there's one thing he's really good at, it's cutting a promo. Like, he is one of the best promos to come up in the last 5 years.
I 100% agree. Like, he's
so if you pair him up with Punk in Chicago, have him cut that promo about being the best in the world, and it's even perfect for him because he can have that face of, oh my God, when that music starts playing, and have nobody come out, and then just have him belly laugh with the Burberry, and just the crowd would eat it up. And then you build it up. 2 weeks later, you're right back in Chicago. You're right back in his city. And there you go. MJF cuts another promo, and then it hits for real this time. And then he can look around at the other Pinnacle guys like, what's this? What are we doing? This is what's happening. What's going on? And then the man walks through the curtain. And that's it. The crowd's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
The crowd's going to go nuts because they built it, and they built it in a way that's authentic to the character. And that's the important thing, is that this is exactly something MJF would do, and for my money, should do. Because I'm going to be honest, MJF versus Chris Jericho again, I don't care.
That's not a bad sales pitch, Johnny. I'm going to have to, like, you kind of swerved me on that one. That was not a bad sales pitch.
Like, I think now, this is just me, but I think the fifth labor of Jericho will be MJF.
That doesn't mean I wanted to hear you talk more about it, though.
No, I'm saying, like, you get that fifth flavor of Jericho. You want me? I'm the fifth flavor because you can't beat me.
That makes sense.
And you build that.
Unless we keep going further into Jericho's history and it's Negro Casas. He worked Jericho in Mexico in like 95.
I'm just glad they did the Luther match like 6 months ago.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want more Luther.
I think I'm calling it right now. Prediction right now this week. Hoovy. Trial number 4, Lance Storm.
That would be fun.
Johnny, you're saying
I'm saying MJF Punk should be the first feud because it makes the most sense to me. He's not Kenny Omega, but he is the top.
He's going to have a fight like at All Out
rather than a match.
I'm saying like the first program is MJF. Like, Punk can go out there and clean house. And that's it. You just set the tenor, and then you have the actual match at, what would the next one be? Full Gear, I guess? Or, build it up for Revolution in February, I guess.
Something. An interesting concept that I was thinking about. for wrestling being such a down period in ratings right now, within a 6-week period, WWE did Raw in Chicago last night. They're doing Rampage on August 20th, and they're doing All Out in September. Chicago will have had 3 arena sold-out wrestling shows in the span of 6 weeks. Maybe wrestling's not as dead as people say.
In this time, too. In
Yeah.
this time where people don't want to leave their houses sometimes.
At the same point, though, I think it's hard to measure in this because it's been so long since people can. The wrestling fans are a bit more willing to do it. You know, they're a bit, the eager, I think is the right word. They're more eager to get out there and see the shows live than they would normally be because there's no house show tour where, let's be real, the matches are always better.
Yeah, TV is pretty much what you get.
I would rather spend $15 to go sit at a house show than spend $50 to sit at a Raw taping, because the Raw taping is going to be garbage, but the house show is going to be amazing because it's a house show and the guys running the shows are the wrestlers themselves.
I just came up with a great idea, Sean.
Oh.
They're gonna have. I think we're gonna have some live wrestling in Oshawa not too long from now. We should go see it together and review it.
I agree 100%. That is a great idea.
That depends who the we is. If the we is Kieran, then yeah. The we
Why?
is
You don't want to see it with Johnny?
Somebody else that's not currently on the stream, then maybe not.
Wait, that's currently on the stream?
Not currently on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't like that guy.
I've sat down beside Jer for a couple hours before. It's tolerable. Especially when we're watching the Cowboys get spanked.
Yeah.
Now let's be real. Unless it's a primetime game, the Cowboys don't get much coverage on Red Zone. They're that bad.
Well, they're in the red zone. It's just the other team.
Who's it going to be if he has a match at All Out, Jer?
I think they planted the seeds with Darby, and Darby doesn't have anything to do right now. So I think, and Punk is on record saying that is somebody he wants to work with. So it would make sense. I mean, and it's a fresh matchup, so it's not like they're putting him in there with a guy he's worked with before, like Moxley or Jericho. So I think that's probably a heavy selling point, and I think it would be interesting. I mean, Darby Allin is fantastic, and I think putting him with Sting like they've done has done phenomenal work for him, because that's how you bring in a guy in the past, and you don't. Okay, they don't put Sting in the main events, right? You know, Sting isn't challenging for the world title next month or Goldberg. And Sting is there to get Darby over. And that is what you should do with the previous generation. You know, that's their role. They got to get the next guys. Or Sting's not going to be there in 10 years. Darby is. Darby's going to be main eventing pay-per-views in 5 or 10 years if his body can handle it. You know, that's another story. But I think Darby's probably a good enough draw for Punk where it's a completely fresh matchup. And, you know, I'd say it would sell some tickets, but it's already sold out.
I have no idea. I would just like to see him fight, and I like Darby Allin, so why not? But I seen Johnny shaking his head no, so why not?
That one makes less sense to me because simply Darby can't lose another feud right now. I mean, Darby has
Why don't you put him over?
You're not going to put over Darby Allin over Punk in Punk's return. That's
Punk
not
hasn't been around in 7 years. There's your way out.
That's not going to matter. Like, if you want to talk about how to piss off the lapsed fan, that's how you do it. You have him come in here and do jobs to these guys they've never heard of. That's how you do it. He needs to come in there and he needs to beat someone of significance. And MJF is that perfect guy, because you lose to CM Punk. That's a character building thing for me, not a character destroying thing for me. Whereas Darby's coming off losses, you know, in most of his major feuds. Like, yeah, okay, he beat Ethan Page in the coffin match, but did he really come out of that in a better place? Not really. I mean, he's right where he was when he went in.
I mean, well, I think Darby's kind of in the same vein as MJF, though. Can you really hurt him? He's so over. Have you seen the reactions he's getting on Dark right now? It's insane. So
I also don't think you bring him in to go up against the babyface. Like that's, I think, is another, point. Like a babyface on babyface thing to open up with makes no sense to me. Like with the Booker's mind, like it's why. Like you bring him in as a babyface because he's gonna pop the crowd, unless you want to like go crazy and have him turn heel right off the jump.
I can't imagine they do that right off the bat. They got to get that big reaction first.
Exactly. So you put.
Although that being said, I could see Punk going for it.
So could I, and if that's the case, then Darby makes sense. But babyface, that's not the right. That's not the right look for a debut feud. You want that heel that's gonna have those promos and. I like Darby, but his promos aren't his high spot.
Yeah.
He needs Sting because Sting can cut a promo. Like Darby's good with the vignettes when he's not talking. And you can't have a 3-month feud with CM Punk with Darby Allin saying very little. And that's what you'd have because Darby's not great on the stick on his own. I don't want to see Sting and CM Punk having dueling promos for the next 3 months. Like that's just there's no payoff there.
3 months though. How since it's his return match, can't it just be a one-off before moving on to a program?
That's what I would think. I don't think they would do a program. It would be, Darby and Punk have a good match. Whoever goes over, goes over. They raise each other's hands, whatever, and then, go their merry way.
I mean, I think everyone thinks that CM Punk's, entrance into AEW is going to be like, hey, I want to wrestle all these cool guys. Because I think that's in real life. In real life, I think that's what it is. It's like, hey, absolutely. Look, they've built up a bunch of stars here, and these are a bunch of guys I haven't wrestled. So, awesome, let's do it. I think in real life, that's the reason why he's going to AEW. I don't think he needs money. He could probably generate money in a lot of different ways right now by himself. I think that he's obviously a person who knows, he definitely likes money and definitely signs up for it. But the reason he's going to AEW and not somewhere else is because he's like, man, they've done a really good job. I like wrestling. I'm a fan of wrestling. I would like to wrestle all these guys. So when he shows up, he's going to be, he's going to show up and say this guy thinks he's the best and this guy does this and that guy. He's like, why don't you guys fight me and we'll see. That's probably going to be his storyline regardless of who he wrestles.
Yeah, he's going to be invigorated to work there. And we haven't seen an interested and invigorated and healthy CM Punk since probably a year before he left WWE.
I'd say summer of Punk 2, probably.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think he was slowly being siphoned off as the whole time he was in WWE anyways.
Yeah.
I think he was probably happier when he was long haired and than he was for a lot of his pipe bomb run.
Yeah.
That entire last year from when he lost to Rock, when he lost the belt to Rock at Rumble to when he left one calendar year later was garbage. I can't remember anything he did that year that was any good.
He had some good mic work with Paul Heyman, but matches.
Yeah, but I mean, even okay, let's be real. CM Punk and Paul Heyman on the mic, you're going to have gold no matter what.
The only good thing that came out of that was the Lesnar thing. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the Lesnar thing was good, but beyond that, yeah, it was like the rotting husk of what CM Punk used to be.
He was on autopilot.
Absolutely. And you're not going to get the best version of CM Punk that way. And, he kind of went out on a whimper.
Do you remember the promos with Kevin Nash and how
I'd really
how realistic they were? Him being like, "Why the fuck am I doing this?"
Can we not remind because that's just going to remind me that the pipe bomb, one of the greatest promos in professional wrestling history, led to a match between Triple H and Kevin Nash with a sledgehammer on a fucking pole. Like, come on.
Well, it was
awesome.
It was a ladder match, but still, same concept.
It was awesome that it was like a genuine reaction for CM Punk to be like, why the fuck are you on Raw? Like, why are you here, old man? Like, I am a wrestler. You're an old broken man. And then Kevin Nash should be like, oh, you look like a fry cook. And he'd be like, exactly what I thought you were going to say. Like, fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
I am actually wrestling over here. And that's sort of, that even though it was presented in a way as being realistic, watching Punk's eyes be real and say, like, fuck off, old man. Like, I'm an actual wrestler. Like, was hilarious.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff that he said, he absolutely felt. You know, Kevin Nash had absolutely no business interfering in that SummerSlam main event. And then they do nothing with it. There was no actual payoff for CM Punk in that angle that like he didn't get revenge on Nash. He didn't get revenge. He lost to Triple H.
Yeah.
Like it was just a disaster. And then luckily he won the belt and got shifted away from it all.
Speaking of which, there's been a lot of people that have been clamoring for Punk versus Omega right out of the gate. I'm not one of them because I don't think that makes sense. And my stance on that's like, okay, so you bring Punk back to lose his first time back, but you also can't bring Punk in to win either because he's been gone 7 years. And as Jared pointed out earlier, Kenny Omega's basically unbeatable at this point. So like, what kind of message does that send to everybody else? And like, I don't see how that shouldn't even be a consideration, him and Omega right now, in my
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, typically right now, Cody has been the welcoming committee. Someone comes in, they get to wrestle with Cody, whether they're a celebrity or whatever. And but I don't think anybody really wants to see that because we're kind of bored of the idea that Cody is just
10 years ago.
welcoming
I don't need to
people
see it
in.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that match, but not right away.
Oh,
I'm
eventually,
okay with
sure.
it.
There's nothing wrong with that
Yeah.
as a concept feud, but just not right out of the door because you're right. Cody is the welcoming mat, and I am kind of tired of it. Like,
yeah, I think that's how.
I mean,
I think that's
and
how
there's a
everyone
simple
feels.
reason why it won't happen because there's no way for Cody Rhodes to turn a feud with CM Punk into some sort of nationalistic pride. I'm wearing the red, white, and blue,
Yes,
and you're
there is.
not.
Yes, there is.
I have a biracial child. Like, no, just go away.
Punk is a punk. He could totally be.
I'm not American. I'm from Chicago.
Yeah,
that's how you do it. Chicago's not America.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting trying to book him with an opponent and be like, okay, well, probably not someone from WWE because even if they haven't really wrestled, like we don't want to go, hey, we'll bring him in. We need him to fight an AEW guy. You know what? Thinking about it now, like I think he could do good with Pac if it was a quick one-off match. Could have a good match.
Yeah.
And I know he is a WWE guy, but he's one who's kind of changed his image from being a WWE guy pretty quickly.
Yeah. I don't even remember him being a WWE guy.
Yeah. I think he's changed his image to not really being that at all now.
Can I just point out, I mean, I'm not gonna go on record as saying it, but you know, I just have to ask, you know, we're talking about CM Punk, we're talking about AEW, and I just have to ask myself, how much did Cody slip Stephen Amell to put the wrestling bug back in Punk's ear?
Yeah, because they got that show coming out on Stars like this month, I think. Heels. Yep. Yeah.
They just had the premiere in New York last week.
That's
so like, I mean, I have to imagine that had at least some degree of getting him back into the wrestling business.
Good point.
And like, I had that thought not too long ago. I'm like, are these things correlated? Like, is Amell talking to Punk about how AEW works while they're doing this? Like, because he worked the first.
Well, he worked the first pay-per-view. Technically, you know, it was
he worked
all
in,
out. But
all in, not all out. But
well, I think he's obviously friends with Cody still. I imagine they have a
he appeared on Dynamite,
continual
didn't he?
Friendship.
I think he did.
He did an angle on one of the early episodes of Dynamite.
Yeah,
I think with SCU, maybe.
I don't remember that, but
so let me ask you guys this: Bray Wyatt's gone. Adam Cole might go. CM Punk is apparently in AEW along with Bryan Danielson. From what I heard from Jared the last time he was on, and some of the recent things I've read would suggest the WWE product is in a horrific place right now. Again, I can't speak for that. I don't watch. Are we at like AEW does not bring in the money WWE does for obvious reasons. But are we at a point where like on a an everyday moviegoer sort of thing, but with wrestling, where AEW can be a legitimate second option for people that aren't diehard into wrestling? Like, does Vince actually have reason to be worried at this point in terms of competition, or no?
Yes,
Depends
only
on-
because Vince has a reason to market share. Vince should not let anybody, no matter who they are, reach into his pocket and take money out. And that's what AEW is doing.
Are they?
If it's not
I
money,
believe
they're
so.
taking ratings. Raw's rating is down 33% from January 2020 to right now. In a year and a half, it has dropped 33%. Okay.
During
It
a
hasn't.
time there's more eyes on TV too.
Yeah, it hasn't hit him financially yet. But when the TV contracts roll around, WWE is not going to be getting those same $205 million per year deals that they're currently on, when AEW is drawing a 1.1 rating, Raw is drawing a 1.5. AEW on TNT is significantly cheaper right now on their contract with TNT. So why would USA look at WWE Raw 3 years from now and say, why are we paying you this gigantic amount of money to get barely the rating another company is getting on a different program, when we can just pay you what they're paying? And I think TNT pays production fees and maybe a little bit of a kickback.
Let me frame it a little bit differently too, though. So we know that they're probably not going to get the same amount of money there, but like Fox is reportedly pretty unhappy, but not just about the views. Fox has been reportedly unhappy about a lot of things that WWE have done. They've been like, hey, we're going to give you these wrestlers. And then they took some of them and they gave them over to Raw. And they're like, and then they've promoted things that they shouldn't promote on Fox.
The Hell in a Cell match too.
They've screwed over so many things. The reason why WWE has always been able to do that, and the reason why Vince doesn't give a fuck, is because there's no one else. So he's like, he's like, we got wrestling. And they're like, oh, are you going to give us this, this, and this? He's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll give you that stuff. And then he changes his mind. He's been living in a world for a long time where he can do whatever the fuck he wants. It doesn't matter. If you like wrestling, this is the only place to watch.
They've been the only game in town for 20 years.
It's becoming so apparent that he doesn't understand that he needs to fix this, fix that, change this, change that, hire someone who knows what he's talking about, all this sort of stuff that he's doing. Imagine like if Fox did a deal with AEW and said, okay, we would like CM Punk to be on the show every week. We would like to build up to a CM Punk Jericho match or whatever. If AEW said that that's what they're going to do, I believe that that's what they would do. They'd be like, we're doing everything to make this show great, and we want you guys to do it. They deliver on promises. WWE is a fucking circus where it changes like right up to 3 hours before the goddamn show. I don't even think that they know what they're doing. Like, I don't even think that they remember that they promised this or that, or that they thought, hey, we're going to go here with SummerSlam. Sometimes they just fucking get in the show and Vince reads the script and he's like, you know what? I don't like this anymore. Why don't we go old school and we'll just fucking have them do this, and we'll have a match that starts off one-on-one and then becomes a tag team match halfway through. Oh my God, people are going to love it. And they're like, well, what does that do for SummerSlam? We're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how to plan ahead. And that's going to be really bad for Fox, everyone else that, they see these things, they make these demands, and WWE doesn't do what they said they were going to do. And then later when the TV contracts come up and you're, like you said, by then it looks like it's going to be equal. Like the shows are going to be fairly equal at that point. It looks like. And they're going to be like, should I pay $1 billion for this, or should I pay, $10 million for this? Like, it's a fucking no-brainer.
Yeah, I think that WWE
right. comes with a library. That's about it.
But that's a huge deal.
Yeah,
that library is the history. That library is the history of professional wrestling pre-2001. The history.
It is, but that's going to matter less and less and less every year.
They don't have
But
any
it's not.
Continental.
Oh boy,
Johnny, I don't know if you know this, but someday you are going to eat a ham sandwich and die. And
What?
all of those. Then when all that money that you pay to watch fucking shit wrestling from 1972 is not going to matter anymore.
Yes,
There's
it
less
will.
and less people every year who are like, I'm going to watch WrestleMania 1 and see how good it is.
Yeah, you
Those
watch it
people
and
are
realize
dying.
it's not very good.
It's not good at all. But don't like, you can't say like this library is that important.
Mr. T like that.
Those people are going to be dying soon.
that's not gonna matter. Like
It's going to matter. The library's not going to matter. Because
the
eventually
library
it's
will
gonna be
always matter because of the sheer size of it.
Yes, but I think Kieran raises a good point. It's not that heavy of a draw. Like right now, the WWE Network is the main selling point is, hey, you spend, $10, $15 a month and you get every live pay-per-view and you get, the Steve Austin sessions and you get all these documentaries, whatever. The selling point of the network is the live content. You get whatever, like the live stuff is what they're selling. Because when WWE did WWE 24/7, their first on-demand channel back in 2005, 2005, it was strictly classic stuff, Nitros and old Jim Crockett stuff from, exactly, classics on demand. And it was not making money. It was great for us fans.
Didn't have the online presence then.
Well, yeah, but we enjoyed watching the old stuff like ECW from '94 or whatever. Diving into the stuff that we grew up watching, which was cool. But that's not going to overreach to the main audience. So that's why the main focus on selling right now is, oh, hey, subscribe to Peacock and you get, all these live WWE pay-per-views, including WrestleMania, and
I think you're right, but you're understating the fact that the library will remain important because, yes, the generation of us that watch the 70s, the 80s, we're aging up and, it's not going to matter as much to us. But you're forgetting about a very important factor. The generation behind us that's going to care about the Attitude Era and the 2000s era and the Ruthless Aggression era, they're going to be there. And then after that comes, the PG era and the generation. Because no matter what we say about it, yes, okay, we can sit here and we can say that, yes, this is garbage. But let me ask you this. Which ones do the kids want to watch? They want to watch the WWE because that's all they know. They have spent their entire life. They have spent their entire life being brainwashed by this. That for a lot of kids that aren't, the kids of our generation that understand the appreciation that a Ric Flair Ricky Steamboat match from 1989 is better than any crap you're going to watch on pay-per-view in 2000 to 2010.
Unless it's AEW.
Didn't exist in 2010. But
sorry, I thought I was only half.
The point I'm making is that there's a generation of kids whose only pro wrestling is WWE. That's all they care about. That's all they know. John Cena is their Hulk Hogan. And that generation is still going to go, and that's not going to change. Like, AEW is not going to buy off that generation. Yes, they're going to chip away at it, and they're going to get, they're going to get some of those lapsed fans, but they have to create new fans. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, they're capitalizing on a market right now that is huge, and that's the lapsed fan. But like you said, as that generation ages out, who are they going to catch? Are they going to capture the younger generation? They haven't yet. Can they? Yes, they have the right people. Should they? Yes, they have the right people, but they haven't yet. They're going after the market of fans who the Attitude Era fans, the early 2000 fans who remember what that era was. Who remember that TV. Not the kids who grew up watching 2010 era where the same pay-per-view match was on every month for a year. But the network is important. As long as they're still they're making as much on the network as they are on the television deals.
Yes.
And that's going to continue. Because as long as the network rights continue to include every pay-per-view, including WrestleMania, as long as they say WWE, that's what's going to matter because that's the name. That's the name that's synonymous with pro wrestling. If you walk down the street, it might, like in 5 to 10 years, it might. But if you go back and you look in 1996, if you'd asked if you'd ask most of the wrestling fans in 1996, in 10 years, which company are you going to be watching? Which company will still be standing? WCW or WWF? Smart Money was on WCW. And
This is why I trade for rookies in our family, and you and you trade for AJ Green.
Although an interesting point when Johnny brings up the lapsed fan, historically, when you talk about the lapsed fan, you would be talking about the fans who left when ECW folded and when WCW was bought back in 2001. But lately, Raw's ratings have dropped so significantly in the past couple of years from at least 50%, if you want to go back even a couple years. That creates a section of also lapsed fans that want a good product now. They're not missing, the Sandman from 96. They want a good product with guys that they know, like Jericho, Punk, Daniel Bryan, guys who they have seen on WWE TV, but they just can't handle WWE's TV anymore. It's completely unwatchable. And that's also a subsection of fans that AEW is in the process of. There you go. Is in the process of capturing.
About this guy right here.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
He's got some wrestling pops in his room right now, and he probably hasn't watched a full episode of WWE. And
I've got a wrestling Diet Coke pop right here.
I've not watched a full episode of WWE since it would have been the Raw or SmackDown before Punk's Rumble exit. That was it.
Yeah. And I don't blame you, honestly. I tried to watch Raw last night, and I couldn't do it. I had to turn it off in 30 seconds. It's insulting right now. The WWE product is insulting. I can't stand watching it. And it's hard because if you bitch about WWE, you get the tag of, oh, you just don't like WWE. Well, no, I want to like WWE. I want them to succeed. I want them to be good. I want them to be watchable. I went through the early 90s when the product really wasn't that good, but it was watchable. I didn't feel insulted watching Bret Hart wrestle Jeff Jarrett for 15 minutes on Superstars. I feel insulted watching Alexa Bliss and Lily, whatever the hell that is. So there's a difference there. And I think WWE is trying so hard to grasp at all these different things when they just need to be a wrestling company. They've tried supplements and bodybuilding. They've tried football leagues. They've tried movies. They've failed at all of them. Every single one of them has failed.
Weird underground street fighting with no ropes.
There you go. Exactly. They are a wrestling company. The sooner they acknowledge and accept and work within that dome of being a wrestling company, they can be good at it. Wrestling is not hard. Wrestling is not complicated. Like I just showed you why 50-50 booking does not work. Yep. So if WWE can do this and preferably film better, their camera shaking and their camera cuts are absolutely unwatchable, but that's a whole nother side story. I just mean the product in general on TV. WWE can be good. They are actively choosing not to be. And I think that's the most frustrating part of it all. Because AEW is a wrestling company. You turn it on, you're going to see characters that you can relate to, that are interesting, that you see two guys who you want to see fight. That's wrestling right there. People you want to pay money or tune into TV to see fight each other. That's it. And AEW right now is doing that in spades. People want to see Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. I don't know how they're going to get there or what they're doing, but they just drew 1.2 million people last week to see a 10-man tag with that at stake. They tuned in to see Nick Gage cut Jericho open with a pizza cutter. Like, yeah, like they want to see people that they believe in fight each other. That's it. And AEW accepts that it's a wrestling promotion. They do wrestling. They're not trying to remove, they're not sports entertainment, which was a term Vince McMahon came up with in 1985 to try and sell the sponsors that he wasn't a wrestling promoter because wrestling was too Southern for him. No, you're a goddamn wrestling promoter who's failed at everything else in his fucking life. So sit down and accept it and be good at it because you can be. You created the fucking Attitude Era. Like,
you know what I like?
Fuck.
You know what I like? I think that goes a lot with your point. In AEW, guys still do their interviews in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
just a little thing.
They appear in the wrestling ring. They don't need to always be backstage or in their fucking own, whatever place in their own setting out in the world.
With Carla Saxton or whoever the hell she is.
Yeah. I mean, AEW does do that sometimes, especially if it has a reason to happen. But the guys still come out and entertain the audience. And, when you're watching on TV, you're part of the audience. You're not, you feel like you're in the audience. You don't feel like you're keep on being shipped away to different places. I know we have a super chat to get to.
Yeah, we do. We got to get to.
We should probably get to that before we get to another tangent.
Yeah, well, actually, we're gonna wrap up here anyways. I got to get going. So, before we do, and before we get to Marcus's super chat, simple yes or no: will Punk be there in person August 20th? Kieran,
yes.
Johnny,
no.
Yes.
Jer,
yes.
3 yeses. You heard it, guys.
I'm going to stick with an I hope so and leave it at that. Let's hope somebody doesn't piss him off between now and then.
Hey, Sean, if it's not available on TV in Canada, I'll hook you up with a link that night.
Oh,
because I haven't heard anything about Rampage being available.
They're working on it.
They're working on it?
Yeah,
okay.
They're planning a whole bunch of international announcements. I'm betting probably.
I'd hope soon. They got like 10 days.
Yeah, they got a week. But I mean, let's be real.
Yes,
we didn't have Dynamite in Canada announced until the week of the first episode.
Yeah, I was afraid. I remember I was so afraid. I was like, "Fuck!" I probably ran to Jer. I was probably Jer. Where can I get this fucking shit?
It was confirmed that week that TSN was but we knew they were having negotiations, and we know they're negotiating for Rampage as well. So
okay.
Well, I guess we'll find out sooner or later. Man, I would not want to be in that building though if he's not there.
Oh yeah.
Scary thought. Scary.
I don't want to go to Chicago most days.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Marcus Hicks, asks, did you guys know that CinemaCon is coming up this month from August 23rd through August the 26th? We could be getting a Scream 5 teaser, Spider-Man No Way Home teaser, and new footage from Halloween Kills. I don't really see a question in there, Marcus, which means that's just an extremely generous super chat. Thank you very much for the support on that level, dude. Scream 5, I think, is possible. I would not bet anything on Spider-Man No Way Home right now. And I also don't think I would bet on anything new for Halloween Kills. I think the next time you're going to get something big Halloween Kills is Blumfest. If they do something at CinemaCon, it might be a new trailer edited together with all the TV spots and everything else that's out there right now. I don't think it'll be anything groundbreaking. Maybe a sizzle reel. You might get a sizzle reel or something. But
yeah, I can see something like that. It's hard because all the cons now, like they have conventions for everything, right? But all these companies have their own convention now, so. You're going to get DC stuff at the DC Fandom super special spectacular show. So when something comes up and you're like, hey, we might get a new Aquaman 2 thing. You're like, no, they'll save that for DC Super Fandom super interview online thing. And you're like, fuck.
Oh, man. Wow. Well, I think that is going to do it for tonight's episode. I intended to talk wrestling for about 25, 30 minutes, and it turned into an hour. But why would I be surprised of that with you two on the same episode?
You're really only allowed to have one of them if you want to get if you want I have been over to Jer's house with Jer and Johnny before, And like, I'm like, hey, did you guys see this? And then they fucking talk for like an hour, and I'm like just watching the TV.
In the famous words of Scott Hall, we're taking over.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Jared, where
Wrestling
can
is
everybody
amazing.
find you, man?
Pardon?
Where can everybody find you, dude?
You can find me at Jamie Virtue on Twitter. That's where you get all my hot, lukewarm wrestling takes. And we are on Twitter for our Inside Handoff Football podcast. At Handoff Inside, I believe it is. That should be the.
Man, you run the Twitter. You should know that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, at Handoff Inside is the football podcast Twitter. We cover the NFL from many different perspectives, whether it be previewing games or fantasy or all sorts of stuff. Just general, news and notes and discussion about the NFL because we love wrestling and football.
It's really great. Your guys' new podcast is awesome. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Thank you. I enjoy your Terrence show as well.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nope, I fucking hate Terrence.
Why though? He's awesome. Like, have you seen like the smirk on his face? Like, you just wanted like.
He's an entitled fanboy. Everyone knows that. He sucks.
He's intelligent. Like, have you heard his takes? He gets it, man. Like, he understands movies, and he's just so full-bodied in everything he does. Like, man, Terrence for prime minister.
I'm glad that you like Terrence.
I do. Is he related to Philip?
Johnny, other than where Jared just mentioned, where else can everybody find you at, good sir?
You can find me wondering what the hell I'm doing here in the next 5 minutes, right here where I'm sitting right now. No, since he didn't plug it, you can also find the Inside Handoff podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/the Inside Handoff podcast.
Dean Renner says, Terrence told me his favorite Harrison Ford movie was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Pizza. Oh, man. Oh, Dean with the mic drop to end things. Wow. Kieran, where can everybody find you at, sir?
Everyone can find me at Gogan Kieran on Twitter. You can find me at the Rick and Morty Fan Show on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook via my name in the Empire, the Fandom Empire Den. You can find me at the Rick and Morty Fan Show group on Facebook. And you can find me wasting my time trying to convince Johnny of wrestling takes right here on this show.
Frank really doesn't like Terrence. And I mean,
there's got to be something.
I don't blame him.
There.
He's a dick. I hate Terrence.
I wonder if Terrence and Frank have some sort of background together. Like, I feel like he hated him before he was really even on here. Like,
I thought that, their styles would, mash. And Frank just hates him, man. I feel bad for Terrence because Frank's a good dude.
Terrence declined an invite to the hot tub with Frank. That's their problem.
Oh, I can see where that would go south in a hurry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out on Patreon if you so choose. Patreon.com/Fandom Empire. You can check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Fandom Empire now, and on Facebook, it's the Fandom Empire Den. We will see you all Thursday. We have one of the writers, actually really the writer of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, Daniel Farron's on, and you guys can come on out and chat with Daniel. It'll be a lot of fun. Until then, we'll see you next time. Good night. Fuck Terrence.
I feel like I'm in Depeche Mode.
Hi guys, this is Terrence, Fandom Empire, and you're watching Fandom Empire Live.